generally do a little bit of filming when I've popped over to the accountant's. So accountant's time again. So thought I'd strap a camera on, and it just gives me a free little drive without having to go anywhere in particular apart from probably home. It gives me a chance to talk about something, and this one's an important one today. Now, we've got to live by rules, absolutely, the Highway Code and the Road Traffic Act, and every piece of legislation that's out there, we have to work by. Totally get that. It is there to protect us, to keep us safe. However, it's a big problem for me because people just think of legally, is it right? And it actually causes lower habits on the road, in my opinion. If you think of all the stuff that I've done over the years regarding cycling, Twitter, the amount of times that I've analysed clips that maybe the cyclist has been legally right, but honestly, they've been really wrong. And there is a big difference. There's a massive difference. I'm not going to go into any specific cases. I'm not going to drag anything up like that. We don't need to go there, but there's been many over the years. And also, it's really, really obvious in the comment sections that people call me a victim blamer. Now, I'm not bothered in the slightest. I think everyone knows how thick-skinned I am. I really don't care. But it's people like that who call me a victim blamer are the ones that just go by the legal side of things, and they don't really understand what they can do to then stop a situation happening, even though they don't legally have to. It's something that they should absolutely be doing. I'd like to just give a quick mention to Big Jobber. Now, I'm friends with him on TikTok. I chat with him occasionally, and the stuff that he's done over the years has been really, really useful. I still watch bits and bobs, and honestly, I've picked up a few bits and bobs. But if people have that attitude of what would the insurance company say, or what would the police say, it doesn't mean that they're driving well or they're driving properly. It's bizarre how people can think on those terms, and Jobber doesn't, to be fair. He does mention where people could do things a little better, so it's quite balanced with a lot of the stuff, but there are many people who aren't balanced like that and just think simply just about the legal side of things. You could quite easily have a collision, be totally legally in the clear. Your insurance company could say the other party is at fault and they're going to be 100% liable, but you could have done a diabolical job and you could have done much more to prevent the accident or collision. And in fact, if you had have acted differently, that collision wouldn't have happened in the first place. And yes, it's a little bit of a ranty one, because it is something that I do see constantly, and like I said, it's quite obvious within the comment sections who has that frame of mind and who has the mindset of doing their utmost all the time to stop these collisions or situations from happening in the first place. There's another situation as well that I'm not going to go into. It's one that caused uproar on my channel about another driving instructor. But that situation with the other driving instructor being involved in a collision with a lorry, it's come back that the lorry driver is 100% liable. Absolutely. It's always going to be the case. I'm just a little surprised it's taken this long, but there's been nothing from that other driving instructor apart from the other party's liable, I wasn't at fault. And that is an absolute disgrace. That is not the way you should be educating people to behave on our roads. But like I said, we see it all the time. People always come back with, well, I don't have to. If you think of the stuff that I've done recently on Pocket of Space, and even exiting or merging onto faster moving carriageways, so many people who go, I don't have to move out, I don't have to do anything to let these people on. No, you don't. But you're the problem. And that's it. There's no point being legally right but dead or injured, or in fact even having a collision in your car. Even being legally right, even if the other party is 100% liable, you are then classed as a higher risk to your insurance company. And honestly, the people who have this mindset of, I'm legally right, I'm not going to move, I'm not going to slow down, I'm going to stick in a lorry's blind spot because if he comes into me, it's his fault. All these people are putting up insurance costs for everyone else. And it's absolutely right that if you are involved in an accident and you haven't done everything humanly possible to avoid that situation, for me, insurance should be 50-50. Done. I know it's not going to be like that, but that for me would drive standards, and it would increase standards. Insurance companies, if you think about it, aren't really in the business of stopping claims, are they? That doesn't make sense. Of course, they're going to push this narrative of the other party's to blame. You've got no liability with this collision. What does that make that person then think? Is it going to stop them from being in that same situation? No, because they've just got an insurance payout. They've just got some injury claims and a couple of £1,000 in the bank account. The whole system stinks. But it's something, unfortunately, we've just got to put up with. So, that's me done for that little rant. It is an important one. If you're a really good driver, you're always going to do your utmost to reduce risk. Insurance is there as a final backup if you're not able to do anything to get yourself out of that situation. Collisions do happen. I've had a number of them. Never been my fault, but looking back at them, wow, it's as if someone's looking down on me. I'm just going to quickly talk about this roundabout that's coming up. I'm going to tell you about my collision I had on this roundabout coming up. And I didn't even plan to do this. It's just one of these lucky moments that I see the situation out in front of me. Someone in my missus's family, hi Laura. I was teaching Laura to drive. Very good driver. She's approaching this roundabout, and it is from this direction. And there was vehicles in lane one, a number of them, maybe 4 or 5 vehicles. And she said, Uncle Ash, can I use lane 2 to go straight on? Absolutely, Laura. She did a real good job. Approached nicely, chose 3rd gear, flowed onto the roundabout, and then a car in the left-hand lane turned right. Now, that was many years ago. It's probably 15 years ago now. Here it is, the roundabout. Would that happen to me now? No, it would not, because I would not let a student pass a car until I knew that they were taking the exit. So we were in lane 2 here, and we were going straight on, and the car turned right now from where I just was there, and we hit the car on the side, wrote it off. A little story about it as well. The police officer who did the investigation, he had not a story, he had the opinion from the third party whose car we hit that we should have exited the roundabout safely. And because that person, again, we're going back to trying to get away from actions yourself and just try and pin it on some other party. That third party said that we should have exited the roundabout properly. And because of that, the police officer phoned me up and went, Mr. Neil, the third party said this. If it had just coughed for it, I would have done nothing. But because he's been an absolute arse, I'm going to do it with driving without due care and attention. And the police officer said that to me, which is really good. That's a situation that makes people responsible for their own actions. Yes, it was totally 100% liable on the other third party, but I would not get myself into that same situation again. And that is what my channel's always been about. If you think, even when I do the viewers' mistakes, where a grade, generally everyone gets a grade, because there's a contribution from most parties or all parties most of the time. And that's how collisions happen. So if you're doing your utmost, you don't get yourself into that situation in the first place. So, sorry, it's a ranty one, but it's needed. There's a change in mindset needed to educate people who are coming up to drive that it's not all about just their fault, 100% liable. Yes, big jobbers stuff, it is useful, but please do not drive just with that in mind, and be careful of attitudes that you pick up from other driving instructors on social media. Keep safe. See you soon.